If you're still building presentations, lead magnets, client assets manually, you are literally wasting weeks of your life on stuff that can now be done in seconds with AI. Right, so here is what nobody will tell you about Gamma app. It's not just a presentation tool. It's literally an infinite asset production machine that can build everything from lead magnets to complete website designs in literally just minutes. Most people are spending days designing one presentation, but what I'm about to show you will completely change how you think about content creation, asset creation, info course creation, website, everything. But when you properly understand Gamma app, you can start to build what would normally take weeks in genuinely seconds. Look, I've been creating business assets for years, right? I've wasted countless hours building presentations, designing lead magnets, putting together onboarding materials and the stuff that you know that you need, but it always takes forever to actually create manually. And here's the thing, right? When I started investing into Gamma app, I realized that this is not just another design tool. It's literally like having a professional design agency that works for me in seconds, where I don't even have to pay them more than, 20 quid a month or something. I'm talking about generating complete presentations with professional layouts, animations, branding, creating interactive lead magnets that people actually want to download, building entire websites that look like you paid thousands for, all in minutes and not days. And the best part, you don't need to have any design skills in any way, shape or form. You don't need to know Photoshop, Canva, or any of that complicated stuff. You just need to understand how to use Gamma app properly. See, most people are using Gamma app completely wrong. They're treating it like a basic presentation builder, but when you understand that this thing actually can do infinite amounts of different materials, and you use it with the right type of systems like Claude to generate the copy, it becomes an absolute asset creation monster. What I'm about to show you is the exact system that I use to create everything. And I mean literally everything for my business. So lead magnets, client presentations, onboarding materials, case studies, even down to designing websites. And all of this gets done on Gamma, again in seconds, not hours, weeks, or days. There is no excuse to not have high value, incredible, impactful assets for clients now, right? There's no excuse to not have lead magnets and acquisition assets with this now. So let me break this down in terms of exactly how this works. First things first, you need to understand what Gamma app actually is and why it's a completely different system to any other design tool that you've ever used. Because here's what people don't realize. Gamma app isn't just about making things look pretty. It's about creating assets that actually convert and that actually get people to take action and that actually take your brand credibility seriously, and they take it instantly. When you see how things work and when you see professional everything looking without any type of design experience, you're going to wonder why you've been doing so much stuff manually. And again, I've spent tens upon thousands on these type of materials before what I'm about to show you. So let me show you exactly what I mean. Gamma app is something that legitimately saved my life. So when it comes to building out presentations, building out info course products, building out website designs, building out lead magnets, building out presentations, resources, as you can see, I use it for a substantial amount of different stuff here. And before, you used to have to basically do this on Canva. You have got Canva AI as well, which I'll kind of show you how you can sync those two together. But for me, Gamma is absolutely ridiculous, and how you basically use this in synchrony with Claude AI with your writing styles as well. So you've basically got this functionality at the top, so you can either paste in text, and this is what I use the most. So I will use Claude to generate the output that I want, then paste in text, and I'll use traditional presentation style format for most stuff, and I'll click on preserve text from that point. You've also got the ability where you can generate it from scratch. I personally don't do that because it's not going to be in my writing style, it's not going to have my company IP, it's not going to have my marketing IP. So what I will tend to do is I will always use Claude to generate the outputs that I want and then paste in text. And you've also got the ability where you can basically import actual files from your computer, information from your Google Drive, and import URLs as well if you want to build a presentation or a document or a resource or do anything that you need to do. So just as a little bit of an introduction, this is going to have the ability to generate multiple different functionality for you. And what I'll do on another video in a second is I will basically break down how you can extract information from Claude and then look at the different functionality that you can create with presentations, website designs, and everything else. It's frightening, right? That's the difference between spending weeks on a design versus having it done in seconds. But this is where it gets really interesting, because once you understand the foundation, you need to actually understand how to create presentations that convert. And I'm not just talking about boring corporate presentations put together and that's going to send people to sleep. I'm talking about presentations that will tell a story, that build emotion, that get people excited to actually work with you. The kind of presentations that close deals and capture leads like nothing that you've ever done before in a basic PDF or document. document. And the speed at which you can create these, oh my God, it is absolutely mental. What would take you weeks to build 10 guides and 10 presentations, you can now do in a matter of minutes. So let me show you exactly what I mean by that. Right, so let's say we're looking to generate a presentation. All I've done from this point is I've already done this earlier. So if you've seen Blue Peter, it's like, this is what I did earlier. I've basically used a prompt to pull all the information that I've got to do a quick presentation. It's only 5 slides, but as you'll see there, that is basically pulled through all of my previous IP and all of my information and in my writing style and everything else there as well. So all I will basically do from that point is I will copy the content on the right hand side. I will then go back onto Gamma app. I will then click onto create new, paste in text, paste that there, click on to preserve this exact text, and then what that will do is it'll pop through to the next phase. So this is basically where we're going to be looking at the design element. So what you've got here is it'll go into freeform versus split card by card. What I do is I'll click on card by card. So the rationale for that is slide 1 will be formatted onto there, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4, slide 5. So you just got to check that that's formatted right. From that point, you've then got multiple different designs. So I'm very minimalistic when it comes to creativity and design. So I just like plain presentations and plain backgrounds, but you can add on all of your different design functionality, your colors, your branding, your logos, the shapes and sizes that you have on it. So basically you can do that within viewing more there, and it'll go through to customization. But if I just then literally click onto generate, so while that is done there as well, I'll show you another one, which is going to be for a website in a second. So that'll then take a couple of seconds to go through. But this is how I commonly use it, is while I'm processing that, I've then actually got an output, which is actually just looking at designing the copy for a website for me. So using Claude again to generate the copy that I could potentially use on a funnel or a website. So if I just went back onto Gamma app, as you'll basically see, that is now, and this is me doing it quickly, it's not obviously going to be perfect, but basically in essence, this is going to generate and design the entire presentation and stuff for me. Like I said, I have minimal designs on my presentations, and I'd have probably added on a little bit less copy, so it's more designed. But what you've got here is it'll give you like an initial starting point. Ignore your pictures because you can adjust and change them over time. So with that there, I'd just obviously delete that one here. But what you've got from this point is once you've got this presentation, you can then look at different designs as well. So for example, when I click onto edit with AI and click on try new layout, what this will do is it'll pop up on the right hand side and it'll give me 6 different variations that I could look to present that slide. I've also got the ability and loads of functionality where I could add in loads of different images and everything else as well. If, for example, I weren't happy with how that looked, I could click onto select layout there and look and change in layout, and on the right hand side it'll pop through with loads of different functionality and how I can adjust and change that. So I might turn around and go, actually I think that looks better like that, or actually I think that looks better like that. Obviously this is a lot of copy for the slides and I've just done it quickly, but you've got all these different presentation styles that you can adjust rather than having to manually do this yourself, guys. So again, that is something that's going to remove a dramatic amount of time. You can also then look at changing pictures on it. So when you click onto that one there, you go onto AI images, you've got uploading from web, so you can search web to add images, or you can just click onto adding your own by clicking on that one there and then dragging a file into there. So when it comes to generating presentations, when it comes to anything on that front, like this can now be done in seconds, and that's just got an error page, don't know why. But basically in essence, while we're doing that, I'll then move on to the next one, which is going to be looking at the way that you can use your company and marketing IP to generate actual website designs to then give to a designer as well. So did you see just how easy that was? But presentations are just the start. What if I told you that you could use this exact same system to completely build a professional looking website, not basic landing pages, proper converting websites that you would normally have to pay thousands for in terms of design and copywriting, whereas now you can do it on Gamma and give it to designers to do for a few £100. And the best part is you don't need to know anything about code. You don't need to hire a developer. You just need to understand how to use Gamma's design intelligence properly and use the right type of outputs with Claude and other areas. So this is where it gets absolutely ridiculous at this part. So the second element that I really like about Gamma app is the ability to generate websites and lead funnels and just have a little bit of an overview that you can then actually give to a graphic designer or a web designer to then go through. So if I just went onto Control A and copy and pasted that, go onto the same process again, click onto create new, paste in text, click onto that there, preserve the exact text at the bottom. And then what you've got is you've got this different functionality. So I do not use this for social media because I don't think it's very good. And I also don't think the document format on Gamma is very good either. Everything that I do is either by presentation or web. So whether I'm doing a lead magnet, I always do it by presentation style, because you'll see that when you use this, it's really user friendly as a presentation compared to a document. But I'll also look at some templates and overview structures on how to format different pages on a website. So same process, paste in the exact text that I've used. I then go down to preserve the exact text and then click onto generate there. And the same process applies. You can add it onto different colors. I'll just do mine in my basic one. Then checking that as it formatted section to section, and you can see that based on the title and the number there, and go, yep, that's obviously a bit of a big one, so that might need some work afterwards. But all I would do from there is I'll click onto generate. And this might take a few seconds to go through, but what it'll basically do is it'll format this into an example kind of website design and structure. It might be a bit slower because I'm filming at the same time. Normally this is absolutely rapid straight away. So again, all this is for is to look at you designing the initial drafts on how you want your web pages and how you want your lead funnels to look. And what you can do from that point is once you're like happy with the flow in it and you've checked the copywriting and everything else, you can then hand this to a designer to obviously do the page for you. But again, like the same process applies. If we looked onto this section here and I was like, actually, I don't really like that, I could just go on and try a new layout and try some different stuff there. But the main thing that I use this for is just looking at the actual flow to web pages, looking at VSL funnels or looking at webinar funnels or looking at everything. So like when I've got a client now, I will always use and generate the content from how I've trained their project in my space to then do it onto here to then get them to check it over and then give it to a designer to finalize and make sure everything looks right. So it's just a really easy, quick way that you can visually see how you want things to look on the page. And obviously you can go through and adjust this in multiple different ways to make sure that you are really, really happy with it. You're happy with all the content and everything else, because sometimes when you are designing a website or a landing page or a VSL funnel and you've got it all in a Google Word document, it's quite hard to visually see how you want stuff laid out. But same process applies as the presentation. You can edit and adjust every single section of this until you're like, right, that's as close as I'm going to get it. Now it needs a designer to do. And then from that point, you can hand it over to them. So that's the one. That's how you create professional assets without spending thousands on designs or weeks on learning complicated different softwares. But this, in my opinion, is where it starts to get really, really powerful. This is probably the most important part because it's where everything ties together. Everything that you create in Gamma can be shared instantly with live links. No downloading, no emailing files, no complicated hosting, no formatting on a PDF. You can create a lead magnet and it's live on the internet in literally seconds immediately. The Gamma links are really, really clean, user-friendly, they're really effective, but most importantly, they're really interactive, which is what I believe is the most important thing. I love them way more than PDFs because people can access them immediately. You can track who's engaging with your content. You can have different previews of live links. And this is basically what will turn Gamma from just a design tool into a complete business asset for creation systems, which I'll show you now. One of the other areas that I really like about Gamma is using it for lead magnets, and you've also got loads of different functionality, by the way, guys. So for example, if I went on to, this is what I've just done for my Titans TC one-to-one mastermind, I can basically go through at the top and I can also export this onto a PDF. I can export this onto a PowerPoint. If I wanted to edit it more, I could export that PDF and then pull it into Canva to stick into a brand pack, or you can pull it as an export there as well. But when it comes to a lead magnet, for example, and I've just produced a little bit of a tiny script here to be using on Claude, like you'll see on the right hand side, is the ability on how you can basically add live links. So sometimes when you do lead magnets, the call to action page can almost get a little bit lost sometimes. So for example, like what I will commonly do when it comes to, if this loads there, if we basically go on to create new and then paste in text, and I'll click back onto presentation, traditional style format, preserves this exact text. So if you've got a call booking link or an application page or a website or whatever it may be, so I'll just quickly generate that while I'm pulling this. All you then do from that point is go onto your call booking. So this is ours there. I'll then go onto the URL. I'll copy that. So while that's doing that, this is obviously generating a presentation for me. So again, really, really fast and really, really effective. And just while this is obviously processing at the top, I'll show you the functionality to the link. So on the final slide, I've also prompted Claude to do a final cell upslide for me. But when I click onto that there, it'll paste in as an actual live link. So you've got different functionality here where you can have this as a link like that. You can can have it as a button, and you can change the colors so it's really, really clear. So if you want to have multiple call to actions on lead magnet, you could have one that's like click link there. And you've also got the ability, if I put onto another one here, I could have it as a live preview link there as well. So if you've got YouTube videos or whatever it may be, so if I went onto my YouTube here, and this is one of the functions that I really love the most about it, is the visual element to click-through rates. So what we'll have, what Summer Afro House, let's have that one. You'll see what type of music taste that I've got there with some techno and house music when I'm working. But when we basically go back onto that there, if I pasted a YouTube link into it, it'll preview like a live link. So I think that it looks really, really clean and really user effective on Gamma as a live link, so people can actually click onto that. And that's the same process as if you export that as a PDF as well, guys. So really have a play around with the functionality to it. The possibilities are absolutely endless. So I use Gamma for all my client presentations, all my team presentations, building out info course products, building out all lead magnets, looking at designs on web pages for clients. Like, the possibilities are absolutely endless. If you spend a bit of time in here and get your head around Claude combined with it as well, you can be on to absolute winner. And this saves absolutely hours and hours and hours of time. Right, so there you have it. That's exactly how I use Gamma app to create infinite assets for my business without ever having to touch Photoshop, hiring designers, without having to spend weeks on stuff that should take minutes. What you've just seen is a complete game changer for anyone who's been struggling with anything to do with lead magnet creation, asset creation, presentation creation. We're talking about lead magnets that used to take days, now can be done in seconds. Presentations that you would have to pay hundreds for can now be done within seconds, right? Complete website designs, again, thousands versus now seconds and free, right? Client onboarding materials that build credibility instantly, all with absolutely zero design experience. But here's the thing, most people are going to watch this and think, oh, that's pretty cool, but then go back to the old way of doing things. They're going to keep wasting time on building stuff manually, keep making excuses for not having assets, keep making excuses for why their competitors are getting more leads than them, just because they just don't have these type of systems integrated in the business. But if you're serious about scaling your business, if you actually want to transform how you create assets and multiply your output, then you need to understand what I've shown you today is just scratching the surface. Look, I've combined Gamma with Claude AI. It's a complete automation system with frameworks that I have used for years for hundreds of clients. I've got the exact templates, the step-by-step processes, and over 400 proprietary goat prompts that people just literally copy and paste to build all of these assets on all these copyright materials in seconds. So the people who master these systems first are going to have a massive advantage. While everyone else is designing presentations and copywriting and doing everything manually, right? The people who are investing into these tools and learning how to train and use them, it's going to change the game for them. If you want access to my complete system to find out more about it, the prompts, the frameworks, the automations, and you want to find out more about what we do, the link is in my bio, right? And this is about to completely transform how you've approached everything in your business before this. And if this video showed you what's possible with the right tools, then hit subscribe button, because I'm going to be putting a lot more different demo videos out and breaking all of these tools down for you, and that helps you. I hope it helps you along in the process. I'll see you on the next one.